There's a lot of homeless people that are in New York. New York City just banned homeless people from the subway. I wonder why. I wonder what could possibly have been the reason for that.
Beneath the glimmering sidewalks of Herald Square, homeless outreach workers are pleading with a man with bare feet. Others approach another man who refuses to move.
This breaks my heart right here.
Mayor Adams is determined to change.
So every winter when temperatures drop, the subway sadly turns into a place of refuge for New York City's homeless. And while the city has plans to relocate unhoused individuals out of America's largest public transit network, activists say the homeless have a right to use the subway how they see fit.
You see how they got? Look. What if you're a fat ass? Like, I mean, damn. Yeah, that's bad. You stop it? Oh, that's true.
To use the subway how they see fit since it's open to the public. But as it turns out, the mayor has plans to change that.
We are getting a better idea of the progress being made under the Adams administration's controversial overnight homeless outreach program.
This is a picture-perfect example of why we should not be saying he has a right to be out there. He doesn't know he needs help.
On a crowded subway station, you've got half the subway cars taken up with people who are sleeping. They're not committing a crime per se here, but this is a symptom of a larger problem.
Yeah, it is.
Sad-looking storefronts here underground where you could once grab a slice or a newspaper or a coffee. Of 195 retail spaces in the subway system, only 52 of them are open for business. A vacancy rate of nearly 75%.
I have two young boys. They're 9 and 13. I don't want my boys walking around that. I don't feel they're safe when we see that.
It's about of course. I mean, like, because the thing is that this is another one of those situations, like what I was telling about before, is that I've had to deal with a lot. Like, this is in Austin, right? You think Austin gives a fuck about homeless people? Like, we don't give a fuck. Like, the cops don't give a fuck. Like, nobody gives a fuck. So, like, you just got homeless people. They're building rest bases. They're building they got 2-story rest bases under a bridge. Like, I take pictures of it, right? Because it's like, damn, that's crazy. I never thought, I didn't even think you could do that. Yeah, Hobotopia. Yeah, exactly, right? Honestly, it's impressive. I kind of like looking at them, right? And so show it. No, and so like the cops don't care, like nobody cares. But I do think that like the problem is that every once in a while you do have one of them that's like aggro, right? And like it's the same thing what I said before about how like kind of 99% of these people are just fucking like their life sucks so bad they don't want to have anything to do with you. They just want to sit there and like exist. But the 1% that's like hostile or aggressive, they're the ones that everybody thinks about, right? 90% mental illness, yeah. Yeah, you pull that. Yeah, you don't want to pull aggro on that 1%, right?
Understanding our responsibility to help people who are in desperate need but just can't recognize it themselves. And there's nothing respectful about leaving somebody to rot.
That's actually a really good point, is that a lot of the people, I think that they usually don't have places to go in a lot of cases. And sometimes they do, but like for whatever reason, they can't go there. And it's just very problematic, extremely problematic. But like if you put these people in a place with the public, you're going to have a lot of friction, and it's going to create, it's going to be bad for everybody. It's bad for the homeless people, and it's bad for the public too. It's like everybody loses. That one guy set her on fire. Yeah, no, he's just a psycho. Like, I mean, you set people on fire. Like, normal people don't set other normal people on fire, right? Like, that's psycho behavior.
Starting to say the subway is turning into an underground wasteland. And we're going to investigate this wasteland to see how bad it really is. But what nobody wants to admit is that you could drastically decrease the number of people living down here if you do more to help them live somewhere else. But our subway is actually a mess of New York City's own making, with crime and lawlessness so out of control down here. There is still a force of National Guard troops.
Yeah, they got a lot of people down there. Like, this is what they need to do. Like, 'cause, I mean, The thing is that if you, it's like a problem that gets worse. So like, if you know that you can go down there and act the fool, you're going to have way more people doing it. Everybody's going to be doing it because now you know that's where you can go and do that. And so you have to have these people there, and it makes itself worse and worse and worse. It's a snowball effect. Exactly, yeah.
Deployed throughout the system, monitoring it for dangerous activity, along with thousands of extra police, and city leaders know that the second they pull out, the criminals are just going to come right back. But you know something? Lawlessness doesn't stop at physical crimes like robbery and assault, which still take place down here because troops aren't riding the trains. The lawlessness down here also includes fare evasion, which costs the city roughly $700 million a year in financial losses. And
$700 million. If it costs $700 million to have fare losses, wouldn't it just be better to have somebody there and pay them like $100 grand a year to just stop them from doing that? Like, because I feel like if you have the logic, like, couldn't you save a bunch of fucking money? But why did they not figure this out? 700 million is nothing. Yeah, but 10 million to pay the guys to sit there is even less. So I feel like it makes sense. Yeah, it's crazy. No, the thing is like who knows where the money goes? Yeah, I know. It just doesn't. Japan has a system like that. Yeah, no, that's what I would. Yeah, for sure. You can't have people that are crossing the shit and not paying. What the fuck? Like everybody did that. You couldn't run the system. Automatic turrets. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. They got the turrets? Damn. All right.
When the MTA arrests fare beaters, they tend to have active warrants. On top of that, a high-profile court case involving Jordan Neely, a homeless street performer with 42 prior arrests, has city officials admitting more people could unknowingly be putting themselves and others in harm's way. And that brings us to the real reason why the city is now taking drastic steps to move people
42? Oh, no. That dude, that dude went ape shit. That dude was going wild.
Homeless, living in the subway, out of it. It puts people with mental health issues at risk.
Like, and that's the thing is that Jordan guy, like, that guy, I mean, obviously somebody needed to stop him because he's coming at somebody with a knife, right? Obviously. But he should have never been in public to begin with. Like, realistically, he should have never been there. He should have been in a mental institution. He should have been in jail. He should have been in a place where people were taking care of him. There's just something wrong with him. There's something massively wrong with him. And if you don't do that, you put everybody at risk. And this is the problem that people... Greenland, yeah, exactly. That's why we're buying Greenland. We're going to put all of them in Greenland.
Fair for a city that spends as much money as New York does every year not to do more to help people who think this is the only place they have to stay. And with the city set to
you think about how much money the state spent on not Jordan Neely, but what's the guy that killed him? I forgot his name. Daniel Penny. How much money the state spent on Daniel Penny proceedings? Millions of dollars. Like, I'm talking about millions and millions of dollars spent dealing with this guy, processing him, getting him around, trials, conversations, interviews with the fucking media. Millions of dollars. When you could have just spent maybe $1 million to keep this guy taken care of, and that's it. That'd all be it. The West has become too tolerant to people that misbehave. The problem is that it is a form of self-indulgent tolerance that is built around trying to make a person feel good and not trying to solve a problem. So these people care more about doing what is optically the right thing, but they don't care about actually solving the problem. Because, like, and this is what I was saying before about how it's like this performative, selfish empathy that people have. I think this is a great example of it right here. Activism starts when action starts. Or stops when action starts. Yeah, exactly. Does the U.S. have forceful institutionalization? I mean, like, for, like, crazy extremes, yeah. but we used to, and the system we used to have was also really, really, really bad. So we got rid of it, and we let them loose. It's all performative. Yeah, that's it. A bullet probably only costs a few cents, right? No, you can't shoot people that are crazy, because like the thing is that this is the way I see it. Like if you like, I pay my taxes every year. Like my family pays their taxes every year. If we have somebody in the family that's nuts, I would want my tax money to go towards the government taking care of that person. And so like, you can't just shoot the crazy people, because those people's families have paid into this system to take care of them, right? Like, that's it. They take it. Yeah, exactly. Right. Taxation's theft. It can't be. Taxation is not theft. Theft implies ownership. The government defines ownership. If the government can define ownership, they can also define what is not ownership. You don't own anything. It doesn't exist. It's all a construct.
It's a controversial congestion pricing scheme, which will tax drivers who refuse to use the subway. The powers that be have decided that if they're going to punish everyone who doesn't use our dangerous public transit networks, they better not do it while also punishing the homeless by neglecting them. But as you're about to see, the city's efforts to help people move out of this place aren't exactly going as planned.
See, I just wish that all those protesters that want to go and sing and talk about how bad Donald Trump is and scream and screech outside of his fucking building, why aren't you over here on the subways helping these crazy people? Why aren't you helping these people? Like, some of these people are not even crazy, they're just, life is fucked, right? Like their leg doesn't work or something. Like, yeah, like every single time I see a protest somewhere, it's like, how can you be protesting some bullshit like this when you have people that are homeless? Like, if you just took your time and you put your gas money for $5, everybody put $5 together, make these people food, help them do something, it would be instantly, it's hard. Yeah, exactly, right? Well, that takes actual work. And it's a lot easier to go outside the Trump building and, oh, right. Yeah, I'm fighting fascism. Uh-huh. Pathetic.
So here we are at the 34th Street Herald Square subway terminal, which is quite large, quite warm, and sadly has become a visual display of the humanitarian crisis taking place beneath the streets of New York City. In fact, this particular area where we're standing right now with this green backdrop here, this used to be the entrance to a mall which has become abandoned, and it's a place where people have been sleeping in the evenings. At least that was what was going on down here until the city decided to take steps to stop that from happening. Steps which many say are extremely controversial. At the same time, look at this place. It's loud, it's bright, there's dripping water, there's trash all over the place. This is not...
It's a shithole. It's obviously a shithole. Like, over in Europe, it's... Oh, some places in Europe it's like this. In China, it's not like this as much. In Japan, it seems like it's not. This is a shithole. It's disgusting.
Somebody should be trying to live on a full-time basis, that's for sure. And city officials are defending their new plans as being necessary to help those who may not be able to help themselves.
Governor Kathy Hochul said today that Jordan Neely should have been removed from the subway. She is promising a new series of policies to address the state's mental health crisis. That will come as welcome news to those in need and to the boots on the ground, the police officers and social...
So here you have a group of police and outreach workers who invited the press to come with them to this very same subway terminal while they went about contacting, that's what they call it when they interact with people who might appear to be unhoused. And the New York
I live in London, it's not bad as this. Yeah, I mean, I bet... Well, the reason I said not Europe is that I think that Europe has a lot of disparities. I bet there are places in Europe that are really bad, and there's other places that aren't really bad. That's the only reason I said that. Unhoused. Yeah. So people, the unhoused language, it's like undocumented immigrant. Like, it's like if I go and I steal something from a store Am I an unreceipted customer? No, of course not. It is soft language that's meant to be a euphemism to make people think more positively about the group of people. That's what it is. It's annoying, never play into it. They're homeless and they're illegal immigrants. It's that simple. Any other language is a lie.
Tagged along says that 96 individuals were found to be sleeping in this one terminal. And there's an extremely high likelihood that if this investigation had taken place in more places than just this...
Racist take? Is that my racist? Well, I guess I'm a racist. I don't give a fuck. Like, you want to think I'm a racist? Go ahead. Sure, I don't give a fuck. Like... Okay.
That the sad state of affairs down here would be even more obvious. Furthermore, this tag-along only included a stroll through this terminal. They didn't ride the trains, where there are many people who sadly are calling that their temporary home. And although the total number of homeless living in the subway is unknown, this article estimates it could be as high as 4,100 people. And there could be more people living down here in the subway than in some small towns in America, which is shocking. However, what's even more shocking is that the city's efforts to help move people from here to an actual place which has been set aside for them to stay haven't exactly been working.
Each night, nurses and social workers are teaming up with New York City police officers, part of the mayor's latest initiative to offer shelter and services to the homeless and to involuntarily commit those with severe mental illness who refuse treatment.
So this is the part where things get controversial. Every night you've got these outreach teams that scour the subway looking for folks who might be down here and might not have anywhere else to go. And their goal is to help them go somewhere better than this. And the way this is done is by approaching an individual who might be sleeping or lounging about the platform and asking them if they need assistance, which activists say constitutes harassment, while ignoring the inhuman.
Activists say it constitutes harassment. Well, why aren't activists doing anything that constitutes help? Oh, that's right. Because they're activists. They act like they're helping.
Of letting people think this dangerous environment is the only place they've got to stay. However, the New York Post says of the 96 people who were contacted and asked if they needed assistance, only 16 agreed to accept. Yet the city does have the authority to involuntarily commit people who could be a danger to themselves and others, something the governor...
Which they should do, by the way. It's not even a question. They obviously should do this.
Says could have saved Jordan Neely, who was part of an altercation in the subway which made national headlines. And sadly, the governor makes a good point. If you've got people living in the subway who are not in the right frame of mind to take care of themselves and nothing is done, those people are at risk.
They put everybody at risk, and they cost the city a lot of money. Like, let's say there's another Jordan Neely and, you know, he gets choked out or killed. Well, this is going to be like the train is delayed. Everybody's upset. There's a bunch of police that come down. There's a trial. This is collectively millions of dollars of a problem. $1 million problem. Multi-million-dollar problems. You can't let that shit happen. Shelters close the door till morning. You can't do drugs in there. That's why they won't go. Okay, well, I mean, if they're just sitting there smoking crack, then just arrest them. Like, I mean, you got to do something, right? I mean, like, you can't have somebody doing that. I mean, that's not okay. That's it. Yeah.
1,000 have been approached in the past 3 months, and roughly 1/3 have accepted care, including treatment. The critics say that he should have a right to be in a public subway system on a public street, and he shouldn't be harassed by the city or by the police.
And the critics are so far removed from what everyday New Yorkers want.
Thank you. Bro, 100%. And that's not a New Yorkers thing. Anybody, anywhere would think that. He's completely fucking right. Absolutely.
This morning.
So this report says 5,000 people have been approached by these outreach teams with better results than were witnessed in this very same terminal. And Mayor Adams has had some incredibly harsh words for progressive critics who say people should be allowed to live in the subway full time with no intervention because it's a public place. He says not only is doing something like that inhumane, it is the opposite of what New Yorkers, average New Yorkers, are actually in favor of. Because
he's completely right. He's absolutely right. Adams sucks, though. What is that? Why would you even say that? He just said something that's accurate. What are you thinking about something else he said in the past that's unrelated to this? What? What are you even doing? Yeah, he's right about this. That's it.
New Yorkers know how much money they are paying in taxes, and when they get on the subway and they want to ride it and they're either unable to or there's no room to get a seat because someone happens to be living there, they say to themselves, where is this money going if it's not being used to take care of people who have nothing? At the same time, 2025 is a local election year here in the city, which some say has a lot to do with why new steps are being taken to change how things have been getting done around here.
And what's going to happen is that I bet what's going to happen in New York is the same thing that happened like in a lot of places, is that because people that are like of a liberal leaning refuse to address and solve this problem, people will go towards a much more right-wing solution than what they actually want because of how fed up they are with the problem. And that's what's going to happen. They completely ignore it. Yeah, exactly. We're already there. Yeah, no, and I think that, like, I'm not, like, I don't live there, right? But, like, I heard that's kind of what happened in the Philippines. And it's, like, also, to a degree, what happened in El Salvador, too. It's an overcorrection. Yeah.
Because every single time people see a person with nowhere else to go, sleeping in the subway or on a bus, it looks to them like there is a lack of leadership on this issue. At the same time, the mayor and the police commissioners say that they're fighting an uphill battle. City laws only allow them to do so much to help people who might be in a vulnerable, bad situation, and they want state laws to be passed to enable them to do more. And the specific thing they're looking at doing is codifying what is called involuntary removal.
This is a guy, he's got a Skittles box on his head.
This is a picture perfect.
Yeah, the right thing to do is to let this guy just shamble around until something goes wrong. And here's another component to this. So we had a guy like this in Austin, and he was like really well liked. He was a homeless guy, but he was old and people beat the fuck out of him. And it was like a big story here in Austin. Everybody knew about it here in Austin. And the people like this are vulnerable. And like if you're going and you're in this situation, you're going to have people that are also homeless. You talking about Leslie? Nah, it was another guy. It was the guy that looked like Santa. Leslie was different. The picture of Dr. Pepper ads on a box? Yeah, exactly, right? And so, yeah, it was this really old homeless guy. Everybody loved him, right? And then people beat the fuck out of him. And these people are actually, like, they're victims because also, like, if you're a violent person, I mean, this is a movie, right? So, like, this isn't really, like, a great example. But, like, you remember whenever, like, Patrick Bateman kills, like, this random homeless guy in, like, American Psycho? Well, I mean, fuck, we just had one of these things happen very recently, right? Like that crazy guy lit that woman on fire. So yeah, no, I mean, like that's and dog, yeah, exactly, right. And so it happens all the time, exactly. So it's like you think that you're trying to like do this person a favor by like have them out there, like somebody out there, like a bad person sees this as a punching bag. That's just what it is, because that's what people do. Like, people are just, there's bad people out there, right? And they'll do that. And it's, again, it's the denial and the delusion of reality that causes this form of extremely toxic altruism.
This is a picture-perfect
It's Guatemalan. Yeah, he's not from here.
He should not be saying he has a right to be out there. He doesn't know he needs help. We have to give him that.
Now, progressive policies say that it would be wrong to intervene in a man's life when he is spiraling out of control, because doing so would take away his right to self-determination and the pursuit of happiness as he sees fit. And for a long time, various leaders of New York have treated the subway as just another public space and have made people feel bad about their desire to see people who are there and are obviously in distress.
Well, he's going to die then? Yeah, no, I mean, like, if you want to look at it and say, like, well, it's a battle royale, that's fine. Okay, sure. But, like, whenever this guy gets stabbed and beaten up and then he's dead the next day, then, you know, that's kind of on you because you let that happen. Like, you know, you let the, yeah, that's just how it is. It's free will. Yeah, no, for sure. Well, also, the thing is, too, that when you just rage on Christmas, I mean, I'm not really mad about, like, I'm not mad. I honestly, I think this is just sad, right? It's sad. And, you know, those people that are fake statement as fuck, yeah, attacking progressives, yeah, it's outrageous. The sad thing is society won't care. That's libertarian, not progressive. Sure, but people are going to have whatever opinion.
In some way, something that would also make America's largest public transit network safer and more usable for those who pay to use it. On top of that, a public transit network is not designed as a living quarters for anybody. And at present, state lawmakers are considering the Supportive Interventions Act, which would say that a person in need of medical or psychiatric care can be forcibly removed from the streets. But the only terrifying thing about this is it would be the government who determines who needs a psychiatric evaluation, and that's not going to sit right with everybody. And in the future, what if an act like that is abused? However, proponents...
Oh, I think it's the right solution. It is. It's the right. It's not a good solution, but it's the best solution that creates the least friction. It definitely will have negative outcomes, but it will create positive outcomes at a higher ratio than anything else.
Of these ideas say that current laws and policies, which do allow for involuntary commitment, don't give the police the tools they need to help those who are now in distress, and who also may not have the agency to understand the effect their choices have on their very lives. However, as you're about to see, there's another cost associated with allowing the subway to be run in this manner, and if the city doesn't do something about it soon, things down here might get even worse.
Yeah, no, I think it's just going to keep getting worse if you let it happen. The government allows it, go figure. Yeah, the utilitarian perspective. No, see, like, I never have any problem to do something that's, like, bad if I think it's the best solution. Like, there are, like, a lot of solutions are not, like, clean. Like, there's very rarely something that, like, you can do that solves a problem with no friction and no collateral damage. And like any system, it's a trade-off, right? It's obviously a trade-off. And so, no one say final, morals is objective. I mean, like, well, you just try to make the best decision for the most people, right? I mean, I don't know. I think it's super easy to think about, right? Super, super easy to think about. Yeah.
So behind me, we've got a small business. There's a vending machine around the corner here, a couple of ATMs. There are signs of life down here that kind of bring the subway back almost 20 years ago, when you used to have all kinds of stores and shops in this environment. A lot of those, however, have not been able to make it. And really, it should be no surprise why a business might find it tough to operate in a high crime environment. That is a visual humanitarian disaster that the city is.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to set up a shop in the middle of this set of Walking Dead. Fucking obviously. Especially then when the zombies come in and they start eating the food. Yeah. No shit. Of course they're leaving.
Not tending to.
Sad-looking storefronts here underground, where you could once grab a slice, a newspaper, or a coffee. Of 195 retail spaces in the subway system,
only 52 of them are open for business.
Yep.
A vacancy rate of nearly 75%.
So
and
apparently
that affects the whole economy because, like, you got 52 stores there, 150 stores that they're not what do you call it? Not doing business, or 140. There's at least probably 3 people that work in that store. That's like almost like 500 people that they don't have a job now. You see how this happens? Like there's like a cascade effect. Not paying taxes. Yeah, massive cascade.
We've got hundreds of empty kiosks like the one behind me, which makes sense. This is not a great environment to do anything. It's not even a great environment to get on the train, let alone spend money. At least they've gotten around to reopening some of the bathrooms that have been closed for the last 4 years.
Jesus.
That's a good start. And with the high levels of crime and the constant militarization of this environment, it's hard to think of who wants to have lunch in a place like this or buy something expensive. But it's not just this incredibly dilapidated station which is having these types of retail problems. No, in fact, even one of the nicest subway terminals in the entire system, which is located down on Fulton Street, has a similar problem. That facility cost over $1 billion to build. It's designed as both
zombie. Anybody can be homeless tomorrow. I hope you don't like being called zombies. Yeah, people can be homeless, and it's actually, there's a lot of people that could be, but like, I'm talking about people that, I don't think that anybody really has a problem with somebody who's homeless, who's trying to just kind of get by and like get a little bit of money. But the issue is that a lot of these people are on drugs and they can sometimes be violent. I think that's really what the issue is. That's obviously what the problem, like, I mean, I think really, like, we're not talking about like some guy that like got fired from his job and lost his house. We're talking about people that are like, you know, mentally ill, violent drug addicts that potentially steal things. Yeah, I mean, like that. I feel like you like don't act like these are. It's all the same. It's not all the same. If I was homeless for a long time, I'd consider drugs. Okay, I mean that doesn't have to like. All right, well, yeah, but if you're on drugs and you're making other people unsafe, then like one person shouldn't be allowed to endanger 100 people. That's not the way. You can't make a world like that. You can't have any sort of like you can't have any security there. I'll be honest, I hate seeing homeless people standing in corners begging for money. To me, it's just gross, lowers the appeal of the area, makes it seem dirty. Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, most people hate homeless people. Actually, they don't hate them, but they just would rather see them not around. Like, I think if you gave somebody the button to you know, shoot all the homeless people to the moon, right? Or just not even shoot them to the moon, just to relocate them, get rid of them, right? Not kill them, just get rid of them. I think 80% of people would hit that button. Probably more.
Mall and a transit hub, yet the mall portion is entirely empty. All of the stores are closed, and the mall giant Westfield that was leasing it from the city is in the process of canceling and breaking their lease because they say the city hasn't maintained a crime-free, safe environment to try and lease out stores. And that makes sense. Anybody who spends more than 5 minutes down here understands how quickly they need to get out of here and move on with their day. And certainly, who's going to pull out their wallet or purse to buy?
Somebody said it's a homeless person. It's like begging for money. It's like a subathon. That's good, man. That's real good.
Something expensive if they think something bad might happen to them while they're doing that. But to make matters worse, even the police commissioner has mentioned that she has safety issues with this place as well and doesn't think it's safe enough for her family.
I have 2 young boys. They're 9 and 13. I don't want my boys walking around that. I don't feel they're safe when we see that, so that's what this program is designed to do.
Brian Stetton is the deputy.
Okay, if this subway is not safe enough for the police commissioner, I'm not sure who it's safe enough for. Yet it's welcome news to many that the city finally seems to be doing something down here about this environment to make it safer for everybody, including those who are in need. And you know, I don't think any of us want to hear at this point that they don't have the money to go about doing this.
As agency cries poverty, pushes for congestion pricing. This is just, bro, like wasting $1 million. The psychology of fare beaters. Yeah, people, it's simple. If you think you can get money, if you think you can steal something, more people are going to steal it. That's it. It's that simple. So if you think you can get away with it, people are going to do it.
They're wasting millions on all kinds of bizarre things, like a study to examine the psychology of those who don't want to pay to use this place. And speaking of losing money, this article says that the subway itself is losing $800 million a year, which is higher than prior estimates, to people who evade the fare. Oddly, that number is just $200 million less than the $1 billion their congestion pricing scheme, which is going to tax cars, needs to generate by law to even be in place.
So like now people with cars have to pay more because there's a crackhead on the subway that doesn't want to pay the money? That doesn't really seem very fair to me. Yeah, it seems like a bit of bullshit to me. I don't know about that.
In the first place. And what this essentially means is that if you have a car, you will now be subsidizing crime and lawlessness down here in the subway itself. What a beautiful system.
5,600 people made contact, 1,700 were placed. Is the discrepancy there people who didn't want help, or are there not spaces for them?
No, there are spaces for them, in fact, and people do have a right to say no. The mayor says they don't have a right to be sleeping in the subway system. So what they do is they just move on. They get out.
So apparently the city does have facilities that are set up for folks who might be down here and think that this is the only place they can stay. But apparently those facilities remain empty because a lot of the people down here don't want to use them, which brings us back to the start of this video where folks like the mayor are saying that interventions need to be allowed because people aren't taking the helping hand that is being offered to them. And of course, this once again raises debate over what's humane and what's not humane. Should people...
What's inhumane is allowing everybody else in the subway to be in danger. That's what's inhumane. Like, the thing is, like, if you're thinking about just the people that are in this situation, those aren't the only people that are in the subway. That's absolute bullshit. Yeah, exactly, right? And so that's terrible. That's what they do. And so, like, it's very easy to say, like, oh, well, I'm trying to help these people. Yeah. You have no idea how bad it is in Vancouver now? Yeah, well, Vancouver's another place where it's expensive as fuck to live there, right? And so, yeah. This is all related to the healthcare industry and how its for-profit system is failing humanity. I think that, like, I mean, there's, like, 50 reasons for this. I mean, that might be one of them, but that's it. But, yeah, treat them like people. That's a good start. Well, I mean, they are being treated like people, but the thing is that, like, as I said before, like, my viewpoint with any of this is that your primary and, like, your first, like, goal, your first order of operation should be making sure that the people that are, like, not breaking the law and that are doing the right thing, that they're safe. And if you're not achieving that goal as your first order of operations, you're doing the wrong thing. Like, prioritizing the well-being of criminals and people that are endangering other people is completely, in my opinion, wrong-headed.
Who have nowhere else to go or can't get to one of these welfare centers really be treated in a manner that forces them to move along? Or is it possible that the city's care facilities are so unsafe and so dangerous that many folks are better off not using them? Because there have definitely been widespread reports that some of these care facilities are not exactly caring and the workers are rather rough on the guests, which makes sense why people might not want to go there either. And the timing of this new effort to help the homeless no longer live in the subway cannot be a coincidence.
Mrs. Ban all COVID deniers then? Yeah, I know, you typed that twice. I didn't read it the first time because it was retarded. And now I read it, you can stop typing it. That's not even the same thing. It's not even remotely close. You're just being a retard. Shut up.
This humanitarian disaster has been taking place beneath our streets for a long time, and this is the first time anything's being done to help the less fortunate move to a place that might be better suited to them. What do you think about that? Are the city's plans to help the homeless in the subway itself a coincidence? Is this something that they were planning on doing all along? And are they good plans? Is it a good thing to help someone move out of the subway if they truly think this is the only place that there is for them? Let me know what you think about that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
Yep. No, I think this is a huge issue. And I think it's an issue everywhere. And I think that the homeless issue is probably a great indicator. It's like one of those things where I was saying, like, this is what This is the example of the kinds of people that think that they're helping. They think this is a good thing. That's it. It's a Tuesday. Yeah, these are people like they... And I think also with a lot of these people, too, they never have to live with the consequences of their own altruism. And so, like, a lot of them, they think that it's like, oh, well, you know, you can just let them live that way and, you know, oh, it's fine. It's not that bad. You know, it's like, well, how do you know it's not that bad? Like, or you're not there. And so I think that's like another really big issue, right? It's everyone's tough. They're all affected. Yeah, I think so, too. The problem is human nature and how people don't like to ask for help even though they're suffering. I would say that, like, I mean, you want to talk about, like, asking for help or whatever. The main issue is crime studies have shown ramping up police presence lowers crime drastically from a physiological standpoint. Most people commit crime because they think they won't get caught. Yeah, of course. Obviously, that's true. Actually, building affordable housing might help, but I guess appeasing NIMBYs is more important. Well, if you want to build affordable housing, obviously that helps. But the truth is that if you're building affordable housing to put these people in, you're also doing that at the expense of the people that are also paying into the system and can barely make ends meet on their own. So, like, it's basically like the way that I look at it is I try to help the people that try to help themselves the most. And then after that's done, then we see what's left over. Like that's I think how you can like that's the best system that you can have in my opinion. I think that's the most ethical and fair system. So raise taxes on rich? Well, that, I mean, of course, right? But like it costs less money. Yeah, they don't want help. I mean, some of them don't, some of them do. I mean, it's a mixed bag, right? It obviously is. It's a mental health care and housing issue. Most mental health care has been dismantled all over the world. Yeah, I think there's definitely that too. Yeah, you're 100% right. Building more housing helps people who are struggling to make ends meet as it lowers pressure on housing prices. Yeah, I mean, like with New York, it's probably hard to do because, like, you know, it's already like so developed at the same point. But yeah, and I think this is going to be universal basic income can't come soon enough. No, there'll be people with universal basic income that'll waste all of their money on drugs and they'll still be living in the subway. It's because some people are just stupid, and they're stupid. They're bad with money. They're impulsive, and they don't think. And like, you know, some people, it's just way fewer though. Yeah, there's definitely going to be less of them. This is a really good video though. It is. There's also the anti-homeless architecture. Well, I mean, you got to go and get them yourself, right? You can't just rely on a bench to do it. So we're blaming left-wingers today? No, it's not really about blaming anybody from left-wing. I think in general, like, it's the government's fault. It's not like a left-wing or right-wing problem. It's everybody's problem. So yeah, hostile benches suck for everyone. Yeah, I think that the anti-homeless architecture is stupid. Because, like, you shouldn't need anti-homeless architecture because you shouldn't have homeless people sleeping on the shit to begin with. And, like, so if you make it to where, like, if they're doing it, you get rid of them, you don't need to have these, like, weird, contrived systems. So, like, yeah, that's the way that I see it. That's what makes more sense to me. Give me 1 second.